In this lesson, we are going to understand how we can create a table and also at the same time understand the logic behind dimensions and metrics. So let's jump back to our browser and our Google Data Studio. Here we have two different tables that we already had from the previous lesson. So let's simply delete it. I'll drag my cursor over both of them so that both of them get active at the same time, get selected at the same time, and I'll press the delete key to delete both of them. You could right click and also select the option of delete in case your delete key does not work. Now let's insert a table in our report. To do that, you go to add a chart and select the option of table. So this is the first option. This is the default way of inserting any visual in general. So if you wanted to insert, let's say, a scorecard, you could simply click on a scorecard and then click on the report to have the scorecard in your report. Let's have a table in this case. I'll click on table and simply drop it here by clicking on the report. Once you do that, you will have a table load up here, and to your right hand side, you will see something called as data and style. Data tab helps you determine what you want to see in your table or in any of your visualization. And styling tab helps you change the formatting and the styling options of that particular visual. Here we have the data tab active. The default table contains the order ID. So we have different order IDs and something called as record count. Record count is basically the total number of records that you have in your data. So it is basically counting the number of rows that we have in my data. That's what our record count is doing here. So let's have our data here and understand how we can modify it. We have data source, so it is taking the data from the Eurostores data that we selected. We have something called as data range dimension. That's something that we are going to look at later. Right now, let's focus on dimensions and something called as metric. Dimension and metric will populate the table. It will help you visualize whatever you want to see inside a table. So whatever you mention in your dimension and metric will determine how your table looks like. Dimension is basically anything that is text based or date based. It is not going to contain your numerical level data. This is basically Google Data Studio asking you, how do you want to segregate your data? How do you want to have your data according to how many different segments? So here we have order ID. Our data will be according to different order IDs. If I want to, let's say, bring my region here, I can simply go to the region here, which is the available field. So all these fields that are available according to our data source will be listed here as well. I have my region here. I can simply click on region and drop it on top of my order ID to replace the order ID with my region. Once I do that, instead of seeing different order IDs, now my data will be according to different regions, that is central, north, and south. This is what I have, and that is how the dimensions work. Dimensions are basically items that you want to segregate your data by. Next is metric. Metric is basically the numerical field that you want to see for that particular dimension. For example, if I want to see the total sales for my region, I have to bring my sales into my metric. So I can simply click on sales and drag it to my metric. Another way that I can add sales to my metric is to simply click on record count. So you can click on record count here and here change it to sales. So you can either drag it and drop it on top of record count, or you can simply click on record count, search for sales and click on sales, and it will replace the record count with sales. So whenever you are finding any difficulty by dragging and dropping your sales on top of something, you can simply click on the name of that item and then select the item that you want to replace it by. Once we have sales here, you can see we have the sum of sales. So we have SUM, that is the sum of my sales for the dimension that we have. So we have our sales divided into different items of region. Why region? Because that is my dimension. So if I brought in segment instead of region, I would see my total sales according to different segments. Here I can see I have central, south, and north, and I have the different sales amount for all these regions. This is how dimensions and metrics work. Metrics are numerical data. Dimensions can be text-based column or a date-based column as well. Let's scroll down and see the different options that we have. We'll be looking at drill down, optional metrics, and metric sliders later on. For now, let's focus on the other items. Next we have is rows per page. So how many items do you want to see here? Right now we only have three, so let's just bring something which has more items in our dimension. Let's bring in our subcategory instead of our region. So I'll click on subcategory and drop it on top of my region. Once you do that, you will start seeing different items here according to subcategory. Let's go back, and here we have rows per page. Here we can determine how many rows we want to see per page. So if I go here and change this to, let's say, a small number, let's say 5, I will only see 5 rows per page. And at the bottom, you can see 1 out of 5. So 1 to 5 here. And then we have different pages here. I can click on this arrow and go to the next page. We have 1 to 5 items displayed here. The rest of the 12 items out of 17 are displayed on the other pages. So if I want to use this button, the way to do it is to go to view. Right now, we are into the editing mode of our report. If we want to see it as a report, we need to click on view report. So this is the button for that. Once you click on view, you will see this button active. So 1 to 5 is what we have here. I could click on this button and then move on to 6 to 10. Again, click on it and move to 11 to 15 and so on. Let's go back to our editing mode and edit our table now. We'll be selecting our table and again going back to the data option here. So that's how rows per page work. Then it will ask you, do you want a summary row? So do you want a row which will tell you the summary of your metric? If I click on this and put a tick mark here, you will see that I will have my total sales at the bottom. As you can see, we have the grand total of our sales here. Instead of sales, let's say if you had your profit, it would show the grand total of profit. So basically any metric that you have, it will show you the grand total of that as well. Now understand that you can have different dimensions at the same time as well, and different metrics at the same time as well. So you can not only have sales, but let's say you want to see profit as well. You can simply go to profit and drop it to add metric here, that is below the sales. Once you do that, you will start seeing the profit column after the sales column as well. So you see your sales and you see your profit. If you want to have the profit before the sales column, you can simply click on profit and try to have it at the top of your sales. So I'll just put it here, and now my profit will be before my sales. You can have different dimensions as well. So let's just remove our profit for now, just keep sales, and let's add another dimension. Let's bring, instead of subcategory, let's bring in our region. So I'll simply click on region, and insert a region here. We have central, south, and north, and also bring in our segment. Once we do that, we will see our region, and again that region will be having different segments. So if I go ahead and change my rows per page to let's say 20 and expand our table a bit, you will see we have different regions, and under that the different segments that we have. And finally we have the sales for that particular segment and that particular region. This is how we can use different dimensions and metrics in these options. So you can have multiple metrics and multiple dimensions as well. Next, we look at sort and secondary sort. Right now, you can see a down arrow next to sales, which means our data is sorted according to sales in descending order, because you can see the highest number is at the top and the lowest number, that is the number, is keeping on falling from that number. We have the highest number here and it's keeping on decreasing for the next items. If you want to sort your data by something else, let's say you want to sort your data by region and that too in ascending order, you can go to sort. Here we have sales. Simply click on sales, and instead of having sales, let's select our region. So I'll click on region, and then at the bottom we have the option. Do you want to have it as descending or do you want to have it as ascending? Let's click on ascending because that's what we want. Wait for the data to load up, and here now we see our region is in ascending format. We have central, then north, and then finally south. So it is A to Z. Then we have segment, and then we have sales. You also get the option of having a secondary sort. So if you want to further sort your data in a secondary manner after the primary sort is applied, you can do so as well. For example, here I want to have my region as A to Z, and once it is A to Z, within each region, I want to sort my data according to sales in descending order. Right now, as you can see, we have 700,000, roughly 200, 400,000, and so on. If I, let's say, want to go with descending order, right? So I want my 700 first, then this 396, and then the 216 that we have. We can do so by going to secondary sort, click on add sort, select the sales option, and keep it as descending. Here we can see the number 1 and here we can see the number 2. So first our data will be sorted according to region, and then within the region we have our data according to sales. So now we have 7 at the top, 396 after that, and finally 216. And that's the case for all the different regions as well. So this is how you can apply a secondary sort to our data as well. If you don't want something, so if you want to remove, let's say, the secondary sort, you can simply click on the X icon and it will simply go away. So I'll click on this and the secondary sort will go away. Another way to sort your data is to go to the view. So if you want to review the report and you want to sort your data, right now, as you can see, it's according to region in ascending order. If you want to see your data, let's say, according to sales in descending order, you simply need to click on the item of sales. So you click on the header of sales, wait for it, and now your data will be sorted according to sales in descending order. You click on it again and it will now be into ascending order. That's how you can sort your data as well. Let's go back to editing mode. Let's click on our table again to get the data tab active. We have discussed dimensions in this lesson, metrics, rows per page, summary row, secondary sort, and primary sort as well. So that's it for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.